Hey there, I'm Christy from Hotchkiss Flower Farm. I am in Northern Alberta, Canada, growing zone 2B, and today I wanted to talk to you about some of our most profitable cut flowers on our flower farm and some of the most profitable things, not necessarily flowers, but different things that we had a lot of success with adding to our farm and things we did differently in previous years and previous videos that I've shared with you. I have been absent on the YouTube channel because I've been really busy with other things, but I really know that this video is popular, and so many of you follow me for this video, and so here's my annual update on my cut flowers for what was most profitable on my farm. So as you can see, we have some blooms already. It is the end of March. And as you can see, it's a little snowy, but I do have hyacinths blooming. Many of you actually got to see that short video I shared. These were supposed to be Mother's Day blooms. Yeah, it's not quite Mother's Day, is it? So let's get into it. So primarily on the flower farm, I used to just primarily grow for florists. Now, 2024 was a shakeup of a year for me. I had a lot of flowers for florists growing and weddings and different things in mind, but there was a bit of a change in trajectory. So I was put in a unique position to anchor into my own self-confidence and start building bouquets and selling direct off of the farm to customers by offering a farm stand, direct sales, stuff like that. My numbers are not exactly going to be as streamlined because I couldn't calculate the same way I was when I was selling just per stem because I had a farm stand to account for and mixed bouquets. But I want to share with you what was the most profitable, the top 5 that were most profitable on the farm and why. So the first one that was most profitable on the Hotchkiss Flower Farm last year was tulips. And not only because tulips have, they're great in bunches, and I was able to sell quite a few bunches still to other florists and also to customers direct, I was able to sell the bulbs. Lots of people don't think about doing this when they're ordering in bulk. I sell the bulbs in pre-sales. When I receive them, then I'm counting out those orders, and then I'm planting what's left over. And the thing about it is I only have to sell half of those bulbs, right, in order to make my profit. And that's basically what I was doing. I was selling the bulbs, and that guarantees that I'm selling that tulip when I'm selling those bulbs. So, already before the year even started and I started growing them, I already had a successful tulip harvest, right? Essentially, when you think about it that way in numbers, when you're investing in bulbs and in bulk quantities for a better pricing and wholesale pricing. So that's what I was able to do. And I had sold quite a few, actually. I think I planted about I think it was like 40%. I planted the other 60% of bulbs I sold direct sales to other florists, other growers, other homeowners that just wanted a couple bulbs of different colors that they couldn't get. A few brides, there was all kinds of different people that were interested in having that option, and I just listed them on my website, and people were able to purchase them or come by the farm and purchase that way as well. But for primarily the most part, it was all pre-sales. And so the tulip bulbs were probably more profitable than the cut flower bulb or cut flowers of tulips, just because I sold more bulbs than I could possibly sell for tulips of last year's investment. So, or the previous, I guess, the 2023 investment of tulips for the 2024 investment of tulips, and then for the 2025 investment of tulips. I guess this year, I guess I said that backwards. Last fall, I sold 60% of my bulbs and I planted 40%. So I'm not going to be able to know how that's going to work out until I harvest them in the spring here, which I think I'm a ways away from doing that, don't you? It doesn't look like it, but it's past my knees in some spots. And I am 5'3", so I'm not very tall. So the tulips were a great one for an investment. Like I said, it's a guaranteed sale. I was selling bulbs to one of my florists, and some people would say, well, why wouldn't you grow the flowers out? And I'm like, well, it's a guaranteed sale and I don't have to do the work, right? So, and she's happy and she still buys tulips from me, just like people that come to the farm that are here to buy cut flowers or a bouquet. They're still growing those flowers in their backyard and they don't want to pull them. They want to enjoy them. So, if they're buying 5 or 6 from my bulk bin, I don't mind selling them 5 or 6 from my bulk bin of whatever color they want, because they're going to grow them in their yard, make their yard beautiful, and they're still going to come buy the flowers. So I'm doubling my sales by making that connection with them and offering that to them, and helping them learn to grow them. That's the other thing. Knowledge is key. So I sold tulips, bulbs, bunches, straight bunches to florists. I sold straight bunches out of the farm stand. I sold in arrangements with like other seasonal flowers. I sold them in there per stem, like in an arrangement. So that's how I sold the tulips. My second most profitable, if you weren't counting bulbs, my most profitable crop for cut stems was anemones. Per square foot, they are a phenomenal crop to grow here. They have a very, very long season and they're very productive where we are. We have the right weather for them, indoors and outdoors. We're in a unique position to be able to grow really nice anemone that has a high quality, a good stem length, and have a really long duration of harvest time. Per square foot, they were by far, I probably would say this past year, they were probably double in production compared to my ranunculus crop. However, if I'm including bulbs and corms, the ranunculus, however, would have outsold the anemones because not as many people are interested in anemone corms when you're doing wholesale. But for cut flower stems sold by the bunches to florists and to other people, like I was just doing a local delivery in town weekly. In the spring, and I was just taking straight bunches of anemones and they were really happy with them. They always wanted more, so they were a really big hit because they were something unique and new and exciting. So anemones were definitely my most profitable cut flower, but when it comes to including the corms and the total sales of that variety, they were number 2. Number 3 was the ranunculus. I sold ranunculus in bunches, straight bunches. I sold them in arrangements, and I sold the corms, and I think that they did beautifully. Bouquet bar, self-serve kind of thing in the farm stand, and because I didn't have a way to reasonably price them, there was some confusion of how I was labeling them, so they were being sold at a much lower price point than they should have been. So they, per dollar, they didn't profit as much per square foot as the anemones, but they held their own. However, the cost of them is so much more higher when you're buying Italian ranunculus for cut flowers for florists and events. The cost of them is much higher than buying like the Amandine series. So, or keeping back what I had grown in previous years. That's obviously the most cheapest. However, I just didn't do well with the ranunculus as I thought. They were pricey and we were in a bit of a recession, so people were kind of looking for cheaper options than the ranunculus. And again, I was strayed away from working with one of my main my main florists, so I had more volume than I could sell, so then they were discounted per square foot. It just didn't work out very good. So I dialed back a lot on how much ranunculus I'm growing this year, and I shouldn't have, because now I have a whole bunch of brides that want ranunculus. So we'll see how this goes. Oh, the reason they were number 3 is I had 2 successions, a spring and a fall. The fall ones were like not as productive and I didn't harvest very much, but it was nice because I was able to get more sales for market bouquets simply because I had a few ranunculus that I could tuck in here and there, because things were getting tired towards the end of the season and I had grown them inside the greenhouse. So I was able to kind of get away with, pushing a few more sales later into the season because I had ranunculus. Everyone was kind of tired of sunflowers and Amy, or as sunflowers and Orlea bouquets last season. So, you know, it was what you could do, right? And so I was tired of last season. I was done. My number 4 crop that was most profitable last year was my snapdragons. And this surprised me because my snapdragons, I have a love-hate relationship with them. The ones that I had in the greenhouse, I had such an issue with them. I have one area in the greenhouse that's a major problem area. And I think what it is years ago when this was owned by somebody else, I think that they used to have, like, because the backyard used to have livestock and stuff back there. And I think it was a spot where either they had a salt block or something for livestock there, or there was something that was spilled in this area that I've made a bed over top of, and it takes a lot of work. So I still have some issues with it. This year it seems to be doing a little bit better. I have stock growing in there right now, so we'll see. We'll see if I've remedied it. So the snapdragons were my 4th most profitable cut flower on the flower farm last year. My 5th most profitable was yarrow. Gotta love the filler flowers. Yarrow grows so well here, and I think I had such an abundance of it. It did really well. I had some really nice colors and some great stem lengths, and the yarrow was just something people loved. They just really liked the yarrow, and I think it was because in the bouquet bars that I had, it was a very easy filler to work with when they were trying to make their bouquets look more fancy or make them look a little fuller. They could grab those and use those in the bouquet bar. And it was just much more practical for them. If I was to add a 6th, I would say number 6 would be the caramel phlox. The cherry caramel phlox would be the next one that was most profitable. But I found that in the farm stand, in the bouquet bar section, primarily the one where people were self-serving, they didn't do well there because they would break. I found that I found the yarrow is a little bit more sturdy, and the stems were not breaking so easily. So they were easier for them to work with, basically, is why. So besides flowers in the farm stand, I had a lot of other successes in the farm stand. It was a self-serve farm stand, and my other most profitable, well, for the whole season, including my local deliveries and the farm stand sales, off the farm direct sales, those kind of things, the most profitable things that the farm produced that I sold was, well, number 1, eggs. I sold a lot of eggs. Everybody came for our eggs. They just loved eggs. I always was sold out. There was lots of weeks I had no eggs. So many of you that have followed me for a long time, you know that I like to make my own pasta for the year. And when I get my abundance of eggs, I'm making pasta, and I'm doing all kinds of things to preserve it. So because I have 2 men to feed. Like, they're a growing boy and a hungry man. So, it's really, they eat a lot of pasta. So I always make a lot of pasta. And this year I had none. I sold all my eggs. So I had been working on having rainbow eggs, and so maybe that was why. But I think people just like to come here and come to the farm stand and pick up a dozen eggs and look at the flowers and go home. It was something to do, right? Even though we're 11 kilometers away from town, they just like to come for a drive and just grab some eggs. So something to do when you're living in a small town. The second most profitable, it was probably the most profitable over eggs, but I sold the most units of eggs, I guess, is like the most dozens of eggs. So I had 25 chickens laying, and I was sold out all the time. So, it was, and I didn't have the farm stand open every day. I had it open like 3 times a week, and we did deliveries, and I was always sold out of eggs. So, we always had we had a lot of eggs go through here, but sourdough products was probably the most profitable. I started making sourdough, like loaves, and I made tortillas. I did some sourdough pasta, and things like scones and biscuits and stuff like that. buns, cinnamon buns and everything. And I did offer those in a weekly delivery, but then Chaz got his license and his job. My stepson, he got a license and a job, so we weren't doing that together anymore. And I kind of needed help to do it to be efficient, and that was his job. Like, that was, I would pay him to help me with it. And so he got a real job now that he has a driver's license. And so I just didn't have time, and so I was just having that in the farm stand. And so they were probably the most profitable farm stand or farm produced thing on the farm. I was using organic flour, and the flour prices for organic flour here in Canada were ridiculous, and some of them are really hard to work with. So I had to pay out the nose for stuff that I could work with and stay organic. And it was really important for me to stay organic. So they weren't exactly the most profitable. I could have made a lot more money if I wasn't making organic products. However, I did pretty good still with them, having those in the farm stand. And I would do sourdough products like once or twice a week in the farm stand, and they were always selling out. I never had extra, never, maybe once or twice a week, and then I just drop them off at a family member's house, or we'd have them for supper, kind of thing. So the other thing that was most profitable on the farm, that the farm grew in the farm stand, was lettuce, bags of lettuce. And we did that as a subscription. We did that pretty well all year. We grew in towers, we grew in green stalks, we grew in the ground. Anything like any produce like that, like Napa cabbage or kohlrabi, but mostly lettuce, those were, profitable. They always sold. Cucumbers, things like that. Any type of fresh produce, it was gonna sell. Like it's not gonna be there that night, right? So those were very, very profitable. It's just nice to have like little handfuls out of the garden and just go restock. And it was just always selling, and we did really good. Like, we had lots of traffic here, considering we're at the end of a road. We're at a dead end road, right? So it was pretty good. And then obviously the one of the other things that was most profitable in the farm stand that the farm produced was market bouquets. It did better than the bouquet bars. Having pre-made bouquets was definitely the best, and having pre-made bouquets that were one recipe was also better. The less choices people had, the better. They seemed to like a recipe that were all consistent, and they would just sell out more so. If I had different designs, they didn't seem to like that. They're not coming to the farm stand for an arrangement like a florist. They're coming to the farm stand for a market bouquet. And so that's perfect because I can do that. I'm not a good florist. I did have orders. I had some services like funeral services and some wedding stuff that I had helped out with, but primarily it was for any of the arrangement stuff. It was mostly like a couple birthdays and funerals that I had helped with for friends. But other than that, I just did market bouquets, bouquet bars, self-serve, and that was it. What changed the game on the farm stand, or on the farmstead, for the Hotchkiss Flower Farm, is working, bringing down costs and working with a company here in Alberta that's been able to really help me do that, to reduce my costs as a producer, a flower producer, wholesale. Was I brought in a product called Annalita Soil Solutions. It was previously called Annalita Organics, and it is a worm casting company. They do bagged soils and soil amendments and stuff like that. So I use their products. I found that I was able to get very clean blooms by using their products. And so it's expensive though when you're bringing in specialty things. And so, once I started to figure out, when you're adding, you're buying all these individual things from, off of the shelves in the store, I found that this company had products that could streamline that for me. So I started to work with them, and I was able to produce really, beautiful blooms that had more fragrance. They had a fragrance enhancement. They had a longer vase life. They had more vibrant colors, and they just stood out. So it was worth the investment for me. But growing in those products and using those products, I was able to work with them to retail their products here on the farm. And that was, nice to be able to sell compost and soil amendments and worm castings directly to my customers. And that, but because then I eliminate my costs of being able to grow in them. Also, by the way, if any of you do go to Nisku, to Annalita Soil Solutions, they did say that if you mention me, Christy, Cow Boss Christy, or Christy at Hotchkiss Flower Farm, they'll give you a discount. So don't forget to mention that, because they'll give you a discount. I don't know how much it is, but they said they will. I don't know. I forgot to ask. I just was so excited when they said they were going to give you a discount. So yeah, the soil amendments, they really helped amplify the sales this year. Or last year. So this year, we're changing things again. So this year I've been switching things up. I'm forcing hyacinths. So these are going to be for my Mother's Day sales. I've been doing pre-sales. I've been doing really well on pre-sales. I think actually it's end of March. My pre-sales right now, I think, are over 5,000. So, the profit, the momentum is building on the pre-sales, just the pre-sales, right? There's other factors in. I also wanted to move a big volume of the compost and worm castings. So, because I have to bring some in for my potting. I have Proven Winners hydrangeas coming in this year, and they all have to be potted, and I want to use bulk soil for that. So I needed to order in bag soil, and I needed to order a tote of soil from Annalita. And so what I did is I actually put in some started taking pre-orders of green stock, which then I was able to run a promotion on soil products and be able to sell like a whole pallet of soil before I even got it here, right? So then we're going to have a delivery day or a pickup day, and then everybody will have a green stock and be able to grow vertically with our soil products. So, those are ways that I was able to kind of think outside the box to streamline my expenses, and it seems to be working. Some of the other things that I'm doing is I have I have created a wholesale a section on my website for wholesale for everybody. So what I'm doing now is I'm able to update my website. I have 10 bunches of this. I put it on my website. It's available to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a florist or a bride. It doesn't matter if you're planning a family reunion or you just like flowers. You have access to it. There's no guessing. There's no hiding prices. This is what they are for a straight bunch of this type of flower. I'm able to do that as I'm in the field cutting them. I bring them in, I hydrate them. What I'm doing then is if they don't sell within that first, overnight, then I'm using those hydrated flowers and I'm using those to make my market bouquets. And I'm using those market bouquets to sell at the farm stand. We have a self-serve farm stand that's external to our actual other farm stand. And then we have I have a vendor in a neighboring town who is taking bouquets there, straight bunches of bouquets there, or market bunches of bouquets there. And then also there's a few kids that want to make some extra cash. So on days that they have their lemonade stand in our town here in Manning, they're going to sell flowers. And so, they take their profit and, so whatever, I take my cut, they take their cut, and we're good. There's, I wholesale those bunches that they sell to them, and they get to pocket the rest of the cash. So, I have other avenues now of being able to market them. And I really like the idea of having my wholesale open to other flower farmers, because our area is starting to get lots of little farm stands popping up. And a lot of flower farmers do reach out asking if I have, this or that, or if they have to have an account with me because they have a bouquet, they're having a market, a farmer's market they want to go to, and they just want, an extra 30 stems of sunflowers, or they want 10 stems of stock or whatever. They can buy that now from me. They don't have to have an account. They can come here, they can grab it, they can order it, and they can use it to stock up their own farm stand. So it's kind of like a brand that I've created, and it's been working. There's a momentum, and there's lots of different avenues of income that we have here. Having events like the bouquet bars definitely does help, but it's just more so like having days of like sourdough Sunday, or different things like that that really drive people in. um, just adding a little bit of that into, a little bit of community in. I think one of the biggest things I've learned the past couple of years when it comes to flower farming is that what works for other people may not work for you, and what's lacking is community. I don't care if I just actually, somebody asked a question about pricing on my website or on my YouTube video from my other pricing YouTube video. And she asked if, like, how do I get over that? My thought was, like, I was always comparing my prices for the florist's sake, like looking at what the price is for, what are they paying wholesale? And I've seen, like, I have accounts for wholesalers for like the same prices that the florists get. And I know what they're getting for discounts, and I know what the prices are. And, when I'm looking at the products, though, they're not the same. And so I had to get it through my head that I am not selling those commercial flowers. I'm selling organically grown, scent enhanced. I mean, this is a scent enhanced. I'm using Annalita in here. This thing this one flower smells like my whole lilac bush right now. Like, it's so strong, which can be too much for people, right? So you have to have both. I have to have some that are scent enhanced with the soil that I'm growing in, and some that aren't, because some people just, it's too much. And so you kind of have to gauge when you get a little bit too streamlined. You have to dial back sometimes, and you have to price accordingly for it. So it seems like I think the biggest take home would be recognizing that you're not selling what the commercial sellers are selling. The second thing I would say is that it's community. People will buy from you if they like you. If they like your product, they like the experience, they love coming here, they love seeing the guineas, they love seeing the horses. We have a little white pony. The one day brushed him up and put little paint streaks in his hair. He looked like a unicorn, and he's out in the back, and the kids are like, oh my God, it's a unicorn, right? Like, stuff like that. It's just community, right? It's bringing people back into, the process, letting them in, letting them see it, letting them experience it, and doing lots of social media. Like, I share a lot of content on Instagram and on Facebook. My original Facebook page was taken down, or Instagram page was taken down. So I know many of you that used to follow me on there. I had to start a new page from scratch. They wouldn't give it back to me. I got put in Instagram jail. I don't know why. I still don't know why, but it's gone. And so I have a new page, Hotchkiss Flower Farm. Hotchkiss. So anyway, you can find me there. But I think that it's basically do what fits you and your lifestyle. They say they want to learn. One of the things that they say, they want to come and learn, like reading bricks, because I don't use pesticides. I use like a product that's created from the worm castings. There's an extract out of the worm castings that I use from Annalita Soil Solutions that I use as a spray, and it's basically the liquid extracted from the castings. And what that does is it helps raise the bricks level, and like it helps the plant cycle properly. And so I don't have to use pesticides, because it makes the plants so that the bugs don't know it's there. It's not in their food radar anymore, because the way that it's functioning as a plant, it's healthy. So I use those kind of things. And so in order to tell if I need to, I have to do readings on them, which is like, using a bricks or a refractometer and stuff like that. So lots of people, they say they want knowledge, they want to come learn. And those are the next steps for the Hotchkiss Flower Farm, I think, is adding more of community to be able to come and learn and see how I'm doing it and where I'm succeeding. The other thing that I did this year that's different is I added seeds. So I actually finally was approved by West Coast Seeds. I'm one of the first ones to be approved for having a shack in the middle of the flower field that's just like a cabin, and they approved me to have a seed rack in there and to be able to sell online. So I was able to bring that in this year, and I'm really excited to do that. And that has also helped boost a lot of revenue on the farm as well. So, and it's nice because whatever I don't sell, I can grow it and then sell it in the farm stand, right? I only brought in seed varieties that I want to grow. None of the fancy stuff. So anyway, I hope this was helpful in some way. I'm going to try to come back and do a more detailed one, but this is what I had time for today. I hope this was helpful for you, and I am going to try, I pinky swear, I'm going to try to do more content. I do want to say though, these bulbs, I know it's going to be asked, the bulbs came from Van Noort. I ordered pre-chilled bulbs last year. I had left them in the fridge in October, and I forgot about them in the bulb fridge, beer fridge, Tyson's beer fridge. He doesn't drink much beer, obviously. So they were in there since October, and at the beginning of March, I think it was March 3rd, I jarred them. I put them in here. It has a worm casting, like a soil from Annalita. It's like a potting soil that I have in here to vote there, and that is for enhancement of flavor and the aroma, and then also it makes the blooms last a little bit longer, I think about 4 or 5 days. And then cocoa core, this is cocoa core, and then these are just Fireglass beads that I got on Amazon. And I got the cheapest bag I could, but they're pretty. I like them. And anyway, I took them, I rooted them in the dark, in a cardboard box on the car garage floor, covered them so it was dark and cold. It was about 7 to 10 degrees on the floor in there, and I rooted them, and I thought it was going to take 6 to 10 weeks. I opened the box at it was a week or 2.5 weeks later after I rooted them, and this one already had a bloom starting on it. That's why it's all wonky, because it was starting to grow and touch the top of the box. So I pulled it out, put it under grow lights, and I mean, this was all pale and yucky looking, and I put it under lights, and it brightened up, and it's just went for it. And look at it, isn't it gorgeous? I wish you could smell it, but let me tell you, these are way easier to grow forced than tulips, and these are a big hit. Lots of people want these. They requested them already for Mother's Day. I didn't do pre-orders for these for Mother's Day, but I should have, because I probably would have sold out in like hours. So definitely consider. These jars are expensive, but I did find some other options that I'm going to hopefully post for you soon. I have to do another planting for Mother's Day, obviously, because these are not going to hold until then. So I will be coming back with another little clip about that eventually here, probably as a short. So stay tuned for that, and subscribe to that if you're looking forward to seeing some of that content. But I am definitely going to try this year to bring in a little bit more content for you guys. More, not this, like more shorts, because that's what I can have time for. I used to vlog, do farm vlogs and stuff, but I used to do that more so because I was doing that for my mom during COVID and everything, and just so she would stay connected to the farm and be able to see it. And so since then, I don't really have to do that anymore. Yeah, I'm just doing what I can now and trying to get the farm going here. So anyway, so much love, you guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Happy growing. Bye. Hey, editing Christy here. I forgot to mention, if you visit our website, hotchkissflowerfarm.ca, we do have a soil sale going on with the Annalita products. And if you're in the northern Alberta area, specifically in the Manning area or Peace River area, we have buy 5 bags, get 1 free on all of our Annalita casting products. So the bagged soil products. So just so you know, it's not just going to Nisku that gets you a discount. You actually get a discount here as well. So anyway, just thought I'd mention it. Oh, and we can ship the small bags of castings. We do not ship the 30 or 40 liter bags, but we do offer local meetups in surrounding towns. And again, the bagged 30 and 40 liter bags are buy 5, get 1 free. So you can take advantage of that. We have flat rate shipping on our seeds and on everything else on the Flower Farm website. So you can also check that out. Thanks for watching.